All right, welcome to the first show of the new semester. When we left you back last fall, would have never thought that the winter would have been going the way it is. The winter that never was. Another brilliant day out there today. Here's a look at today's high temperatures. 67 in Payson, 68 Sedona, 64 Prescott, 79 in Phoenix, Flagstaff 52. Not quite as warm as where we were earlier in the week. 52 though here in Flagstaff, still 8 degrees above average for this time. Your record high 66 set back in 1963. We're going to start to see our temperatures approach record type numbers here as we get to the end of the week, albeit very briefly. All right, it's been a very warm and also a very dry winter. If we just look at how much precipitation since the calendar year, we've had a couple storms in January. It's not looking all that awful with 1.71 inches. But if we go back all the way through the dry fall and check in with our water year here in Flagstaff, which goes back to September 1, remember was the driest fall ever recorded in 100+ years here. Well, we've only had 2.47 inches of moisture since September 1. Over 10 inches is the average, only 21% of normal. We've had 2 snowstorms, 11 inches of snow. Average would be up near 60 inches of snow, and with the snowfall as well, only 20% of normal. And here in northern Arizona, we're not the only ones facing a very dry winter. It's been dry across the entire west. This is the percent of average precipitation across the west dating back for the last 6 months. All these red areas, Arizona, California, southern Nevada, much of Utah, the western slope of Colorado, western New Mexico, that's all less than 50% of average dating back through last fall, and all these oranges are less than 100%. The greens and blues, northern Rockies, that's where you start to see precipitation above average on the season, but it has just been a sleepy winter for many. And why? Because of this gigantic, resilient ridge of high pressure hanging out in the Pacific Ocean, and here it is extending way out thousands of miles across the Pacific. So that storm track, notice storms, they just have to go up over the top of this thing, usually into the Pacific Northwest, and then down either the spine of the Rockies or even further into the plains, and then the East Coast and the Midwest seeing quite a winter because that's where the storm track's been hanging all season long. Why is this thing so gigantic, so strong? Well, I think a lot of people are out there working on their PhDs on that very reason. There's a few reasons, in my opinion. Number one, we are in a La Nina year. Number two, we have seasonal variability. Sometimes this just happens. And also climate change playing into it as well. Okay, this ridge of steel anchored off the California coast, the entire west, quiet and warm. Here as we get into the weekend, what happens with this ridge is it shifts out to the ocean just a little bit. We call that retrograding. And if it retrogrades, notice the storm track will start making its way down the west coast a little bit. We do have a bit of a dry cold front that moves in Sunday. We're expecting a windy Saturday, maybe a little bit of snow from Flagstaff towards the Four Corners early Sunday morning, pre-sunrise, and a chillier Sunday, and hopefully going into next week, possibly another more impressive, significant storm behind that around Valentine's Day. Okay, here's our overnight lows and tomorrow's highs. A warm up for most locations out there tomorrow. Here in Flagstaff, down to 21 tonight, 58 degrees tomorrow. Okay, the extended forecast for us, very warm on Friday. As I mentioned, that's the warmest day of the forecast as that high pressure just really maxes on top of us. Saturday, a bit windy. Still temperatures on the mild side relatively, and a little bit of snow. Saturday night into Sunday morning, pretty insignificant, and we'll see what shapes up for next week with possibly something a little more exciting, but it'll cool off.